You see that there is seemingly another mineral deposit over this way. A little bit out of the direction, away from the direction we were looking to go in, so we probably want to hug the wall, the edge of the map a little bit. But we'll just head over here for a second and then double back. Not too much of a detour. Let's see. Should be, yep, right here. What do we have? Palladium? Palladium? However you are technically supposed to say it. There we go, it's a heavy metal. So now, let's check out what is, what, the southeast corner, is it? Yes, southeast. That was the outpost we were just helping. But is there anything else further in this direction before we start continuing our loop? So we now know that at least the enemy in question, we didn't know who it was when we were first going into this planet area. We now know that the enemy causing some issues here does appear to be the Rachni, both in that outpost and in that mining shaft or base or whatever you want to call it. Does that mean that there could be more Rachni here as well? Is that it? I don't know. I mean, given what we've seen and heard and learned about Rachni thus far, seems to be the case that when there's Rachni, there tends to be a lot of them. And they tend to kind of spread all over the place. So I wouldn't necessarily rule it out. The possibility of us potentially running into some others, perhaps in unforeseen, unplanned areas. So I think we should probably keep our eyes peeled. Just in case. We may find ourselves, encountering more. Another thing to consider is, I believe, remember that, of course, the Rachni, their spit attacks, the green projectiles, they ignore shields, go straight to damaging health. I believe it is the same case with the Mako. I believe they completely ignore Mako armor, or rather, completely ignore Mako shields, and go straight to the Mako's health. Which is another reason why, yeah, you know, although the Mako may provide some additional firepower, might not be the best thing in the world for taking down the Rachni. Let's see. Hold on just a second here. If we're looking at our map, yeah, we do know there's this mysterious anomaly here. Don't know what it is, but it does appear to be close to this mineral deposit. There's a lot of mineral deposits here. And this is seemingly the corner of the map, so let's just... yeah, I think we can say pretty conclusively that there's nothing further in said corner. This is the deposit we're looking for, though. It's uranium now. Let's nab this. Okay. Now let's probably save again. Again, just being a little more aggressive here. The saving, and see what this may be. Oh! Huh? What? It's like a base of some sort. Okay. Is that all? This looks strange. That doesn't look good. What are those? Discovery. It appears these particle bores were shut down after breaking through into tunnels just below the surface. The shacks and equipment are stenciled with the logo of Tenkara Mining Consortium, but there's no trace of the mining crew. Why is there no trace of the mining crew, you ask? Listen very closely. You may have heard it right as we were getting out of the Mako there. That, as we were highlighting once before, at least on a previous planet, is technically the quote-unquote song of the Rachni, which shows up on what is usually just more or less random planets, although on this occasion, not so random, because of course we do know that there are definitely Rachni here, but other times they'll just be on planets that definitely don't have Rachni, so in that case, just a more random coincidence. Technician kit here. Oftentimes that does give us Omni tools, which can be a great pickup, but not this time, unfortunately. Energized plating, I believe is the pure damage reduction, and then fusion explosive. Grenade upgrade. Let's check out this building as well. And just a medical kit here. Again, we don't really need the metagel right now, but well, those things you will come to know what the significance of those are. Having picked that up, again, why don't we just be a little bit aggressive with our saving. And let's take a look. So we're here right now in the northeast corner. So in theory, that means we'd probably like to go... We've not yet seen the other part of the northern section of this planet, nor have we seen much of the middle. And of course, eventually we want to be heading back to the Arachni-infested mine. And again, this is just sort of the unfortunate nature of the route we ended up taking, such that we're probably going to need to do at least a bit of doubling back here. Why don't we start just by going further west and checking out the northern border of the planet. See what the deal is here. And I want to see if any of those little things that I was noting before, the mining facility ran into. I want to see if those pop up anywhere else as well. But at least at the moment, things looking fairly quiet in this section. Not much of note here. Did run into a lot of mineral deposits earlier. Let's just confirm if there's anything in this corner. It doesn't look like it. Nope. So let's head back in this direction then. Go a little bit further south just because I'm not sure we saw all that much in this direction, because we started looking over here at this buried safe box. So once we start seeing that show up on our map, it's probably where we'll decide to start cutting in a bit. Okay, so there it is. So let's start cutting in now in that case. We'll go a little bit more centrally, since I don't think we had the chance to see much of that. I don't remember exactly where it was that we dropped in. I think I can just barely hear the quote-unquote Arachni song. It's also actually marked place that we're looking to go, so not absent-mindedly following a marker that we don't actually want to follow. We definitely have not seen the center of the map, so as tempted as I may be to head straight over to the marker that we just set, I think we may do a little bit more exploration around the middle of the planet first, just to be certain we aren't missing out on anything there. Which does mean we're going to go a little bit more out of the way, so to speak. But for the sake of being thorough, it may be worth it. Of course, there is that chance that just everything of note was along the perimeter, and so we've already seen it, but it is a pretty large area still remaining. We've not seen much of. Basically just working around this larger mountainish area there in the middle. I think there's anything on either side of it. What is that? That is source of more Arachni, is the answer. And a lot more Arachni at that. So you may remember I was saying how these sort of mounds that I was commenting about before, yeah, they're significant. Why are they significant, you ask? Because they're Arachni nests. So these Arachni we are getting experience for. There's a notable distinction in that sense. They do now all appear to be gone. And so this is one of the reasons why it is notable to explore more of the planet, is because you can run into some more of these to get some experience and some loot, and this is the occasion on which I think you want to make sure to save, because in particular now, like you'll notice right there, this Arachni body is still there despite us having defeated it. So I think, like I was saying before, technically the game gets a little bit confused, and if this body does not go away, which it may just not go away at all, then it will try to respawn this Arachni and then get all confused and realize it's not supposed to do that, and then it will potentially crash. You also notice, if you look at the bottom left corner there, the Mako has taken some damage to its health. Because, like I was saying, much like when the Arachni are fighting us on foot, their damage, at least with their green projectiles, goes through shields, ignoring them, and goes straight to health and damages that, and that's what happened here with the Mako as well. Let's see, we didn't get equipment from them, but like I said, we definitely did get experience. I saw that popping up in the bottom left corner. So I'm just going to do a little loop around here, make sure there aren't any additional Arachni that are supposed to pop up. But once we've done that, and I believe now we have done that sufficiently, let's leave and get far enough away that we hopefully do not sort of re-trigger that encounter and make the game, like we were saying, get confused and think that it's supposed to respawn those Arachni and cause the crash. Take a look at our map here. Let's see, so we're right there, and so the Arachni nest in question, like, we might just want to mark it just to be extra safe. Right there. So this is a destination that we don't want to go to. It's a destination that we actually want to avoid. Is basically the idea there. But I think if we're looking around, we might still find there could be more of those types of Arachni nests. Now, this is close enough to the edge, so we probably would have seen it if we went that way. So let's double back a little bit, just trying to keep enough distance from the marker that we've already set here. So yeah, what we're looking for in that case, because that Arachni nest did not show up on our map, is we just want to see if we can spot those mounds, which are actually Arachni nests, off in the distance anywhere, in which case we might find more Arachni to encounter. And if we're lucky, we might even find them specifically on the way to the actual official quest location that we are eventually planning to go toward. What is that? Oh no, that's just a random orangish spot. Not actually a Arachni nest. And so now that also perhaps gives you some understanding as to why this system, and by extension this planet, is only available to you once you have completed the Novaria main quest mission. Because technically that is your official introduction to the Arachni, although, then again, oh, I think that might be what we're looking for here. Although, there technically are still some quests in which you can encounter the Arachni before you do Novaria, but usually just a small amount, like the Cerberus quest that we did previously. So I think this may be something that we're looking for here. Let's see if Arachni pop out when we approach. That they certainly do. In fact, these smaller nests, I do not believe, appeared until we approach the big ones in the middle. See if we can these guys from a little bit of more ranged area. We actually got 2 for 1 there. That's great. Because they have somewhat limited range with their projectile-based attack, and like we were saying, it's a little bit dangerous for Mako. It can go through our shields. So was that all of them? I think it was. And again, the potential issue of, it seems like maybe in both cases, we saw specifically one Arachni body that just sort of stuck around, and that might be the reason why the bug happens. It's just, for some reason, the Arachni bodies in this planet don't always go away in their entirety. So, yeah, let's save. Again, just so that we don't have to go too far back if the game does decide to crash here. And that may be the last of the Rachni nests. There's a small chance there may be one more, but I think we'll head over to the main quest area now. And if we happen to run into another one along the way, great. If not, then I think I'm willing to accept. And we've at least done enough. We've done our due diligence. Now, there's a small amount of Rachni that we missed, in which case it's a little bit of experience, but not the end of the world if we miss that. As it is, of course, all these random Rachni little nests that we're encountering are, of course, purely optional. They're purely from a bonus experience standpoint. No loot, so it's not like we need to be missing out on anything there. Now, are there perhaps any nests that show up right on the outside here? Ones that maybe spawn in at the last minute, kind of like we were seeing before? Doesn't look like it. Unless it was really devious and only did that once we actually popped out of the Mako. It doesn't appear as though that's the case. So, we have this entrance console, which I assume we can just enter here. And we are, well, I would imagine, given how this is supposedly a Rachni-infested mine, probably expecting to run into more Rachni. However, what with the previous Rachni we were fighting being outside, we could fight them in the Mako if we chose to do so, and generally there was a lot more space to engage with them, and that is generally a good thing, I think, is keeping the Rachni at a distance, because again, they have limited range with their projectile attacks, which are generally the most dangerous, although I think their melee is quite powerful as well, and they do rush you down if they get close. So, fighting Rachni inside, considerably trickier, I would think. Let's head in. Okay, so, if you look at our map here, we have a small entry room here, and a much larger room here that branches off into Rachni spawning pit, and another Rachni spawning pit. Okay, so, I think, as we were saying before, what do we expect here? Lots and lots of Rachni. And so, Rex should be quite a good fit here. And since we loaded up on the toxin resistance with Liara, and to a certain extent with us, I mean, Liara actually has better resistance than we do right now against Rachni. That means, if anything, we are the most vulnerable here, and might need to be particularly cautious. And, like I was saying, because, well, there's a huge one of these things. The nests, or tunnels, technically they're probably tunnels, that lead to nests. Let's loot this. And then I'm thinking we might even try to use this as a room to fall back into and sort of kite the Rachni through this doorway. So that way it's a little bit harder for them to overwhelm us, because there could be a lot of them here. See, I don't think either of those weapons there are going to be particularly notable for this encounter. There is an explosive container. I want to be a little bit careful that we aren't standing right next to that and accidentally have it explode on ourselves, but worst comes to worst, if we can retreat far enough back that that doesn't hit us, then we could even use that to explode on some Rachni. Where's Rex? Really, Rex? Really? Here I was trying to give him compliments about how he's going to be a great fit for this mission, and then he just decides to stay right there by the door. Come on, Rex. Come on, man. Alright. Here goes nothing. We've got this other entryway here, but then, as we were saying before, it opens up into this much larger room where I imagine is where the brunt of the Rachni force is going to be. I need to be careful there. Let's open it, and then let's immediately retreat and just see if they immediately spawn out. Doesn't seem like it. We don't see any red dots on our map right now. No sign of them yet. But I imagine that is quickly going to change. So I think, at the very least, let's send out Rex as our sacrificial lamb and see if we can bait out the Rachni, at least get them to spawn, and then we can make a split-second decision as to whether we want to fall back through here and use this as a choke point, or if we want to actually engage them in this big room. I'm leaning toward, at least to start off with, trying to fall back, but we can reassess once we have Rex move in. Hello? Signs of Rachni. Signs of Rachni. Currently, there are none. I didn't really want to have to force Rex to go in even further than this, but then again, I think it is better to risk one than to risk the entire team, especially because we are the most vulnerable here. So, Rex, move further in, please. There we go. Now fall back. Now we start to see them pop up, it seems. So we've got... That says it's Rex, but it's definitely not Rex. That is a Rachni soldier, and there are, what, 4 dots on our map here, it seems? So let's stasis this guy. And we'll shoot him. There's definitely another one. That one that was in stasis is down. There seems to be only 2 remaining now. Can't really tell. Is Liara out in the middle of the fray? Where is Liara right now? Not entirely sure. Also, this soldier who appears to be just hanging out on the other side of this barrier causes some problems. Let's see if we can use... Oh! I think I found Liara. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why we didn't really want to have people just rushing straight in. I mean, after I sent Rex out, I told both of our teammates to fall back, and Liara apparently did not pay any attention to that direction. But, that being said, I will now tell Rex to go there to try to get these guys to come out of cover here. A little bit. Now I'm going to tell them to fall back. See if we can at least get these Rachni to move. They do not want to do that. So this is unfortunate. I do not like having to go up right next to them here. Let's have Rex still engage them first. Again, he can take the hits much more than we can. Now, we do something like lift them, especially when they're right next to each other. Here we may be able to get 2 of them in one go. Okay. They're down. Liara's technically dead, but once the engagement is over, she'll come back up, and she has life regeneration, so if we're just a little bit patient here, she can theoretically get back to full life. Let's see, and then shield as well. I mean, now that's going to be terribly helpful unless if she gets meleeed. But, let's see, again, no equipment. Oh, and explosive containers, we, you know, fortunately did not accidentally explode on ourselves. But this may even be worth saving after that engagement there, because that, I mean, if you rush straight in, you could be in some pretty serious trouble there. Not to mention, I don't necessarily think that we are out of the woods just yet. Why is that, you ask? Let's look around a little bit more. Because if we go straight into this tunnel here, we will find that more Rachni pop up, including this one right here. Despite my trying to instantly stasis, did not appear to actually get stasis. But, that's one of them. That's only one of the potential tunnel areas here. Could still be more. I mean, this is, in theory, an entire Rachni nest, right? Is this one of the ones that, is this the one we just did that to? That is, isn't it? Okay. But there's, that looks like 2 right there. Stasis you. I'll take care of the one that is stasis. We still have this guy here. We are yet. Get up this 2. They're down. But yeah, so you can imagine there's already a lot of Rachni to start off with. Then if you rush in and go close to one of those tunnels, then more will spawn in. And you're in even more trouble. That looks like something as well.
Negative contact, Shepard.
Ooh, although I didn't actually see them spawn in. I approach this. Walking on top of it, it doesn't pop up, so I think we're in the clear there. Also, keep an eye out for potential loots. Crates and what have you. Because you know, the Rachni, they like to hold on to some valuable weapons and armor, right? Let's move in and find, ooh, 3 Rachni on this occasion. So that's kind of nasty. That's kind of nasty. Very good timing there from Liara on her crowd control ability there. One of these Rachni is not hit. Now it is. Okay, we got hit. Oh, we could have theoretically exploded that, and it might have worked fairly well, to tell you the truth, because there were so many around on top of each other. Does seem as though those explosive containers are quite conveniently placed. For the most part, they are more or less directly on top of the tunnels, but there's more here. Stasis you. Before you get any big ideas. There's still another one here. Let's, lift you, maybe. I may have missed. No, we hit it. Our friends are shooting at this barrier rather than at the Rachni, but it is down. We may have also lifted that explosive container, which I'm a little bit nervous about, because I actually don't know if that's going to explode once it lands. I think it did. I think it did. Okay. Let's see. This one we should have already done, but I believe there's one... Ooh, it's right here. Got a Crossfire, which is an Armax level 8 assault rifle. That could be decent. That could be decent. Then there's another one of these here. Yup. I mean, I'm losing track of the total amount of Rachni here, but it is quite large. It's quite large. May, in fact, be the most we've ever encountered in any one mission. It's getting there. It's getting awfully close if it's not there yet. I mean, obviously.
Clear.
No barrier, there were a lot over the course of the entire mission, but at least in one given room for a mission, this is way up there. Possibly at the top. Supposed to be containers. Yeah, I've also confirmed there. Whoa! Our Rachni right next to us. We've confirmed that. We've confirmed that. Thank you, Liara, for absolutely bailing us out there. Yeah, I've leveled up as well. I was going to say... Whoa, there are more Rachni appearing behind us as well. Stasis you before you hit us with one of those attacks that Stasis missed. So I regret to say, we did get hit by that projectile, but only one of them is not so bad. But yeah, we have confirmed that there are, in fact, crates in here for additional loot. That's a decent pistol, and decent shotgun as well. Decent sniper rifle as well. That's decent stuff there. That's starting to add up a bit. But yeah, if that's a great example of if you're not careful, you could find yourself stumbling upon several additional enemies right on top of you. Right on top of you. And that is not where you want to be facing Rachni. They will mess you up. One here. We triggered these? We may have, by the looks of things. Okay, so we're looking at our... We did just level up. We should look at our characters here. And afterwards, we'll probably want to take a look at our map and just see what we might want to do, or where else to go next. We do know that this was the main room. There were a couple of side rooms as well. Let's see, what were we working on most recently? I think we were trying to get... Where was it? That's sabotage. What were we working on most recently for Shepard? Was it Master Sabotage? I guess it might have been. And Master Overload? I thought we already had those. Or have had them for quite some time. In terms of Spectre training, it'd be nice if we could get all the way up to Master Unity. That may just barely be possible here. So, you know what? It's either that or, I'd say, next best would potentially be getting Advanced Barrier to improve the effectiveness of that, or just further increasing our tech explosion damage or shield capacity. But Spectre training also gives us, what, let's see, duration and damage of our powers, just a tiny bit. A little bit more health, tiny bit of that as well, and a little bit more accuracy. I don't really care too much about that. But, let's go with the Spectre training. Then, Liara, trying to get the barrier for you. Oh yeah, we definitely were, because I remember we were taking this last time. We were saying, maybe not so relevant, at least on this mission, and that is probably still the case here, but long term, having the barrier a little bit stronger and lasting a little bit longer might be a little bit helpful. Then for Rex, on you, what were we going for? Also even Krogan Battlemaster. More health regeneration, more melee damage, more resistance to physics forces. So I think for the most part, with just about all of our characters, we've gotten the primary things that we were looking to get. So at this point, it's kind of just all icing on the cake. It's all a little bit of a bonus. Picking up some stuff that we didn't really expect to be able to pick up. Like we could go with Barrier to make him even tankier, but with a fully upgraded immunity that may not really be necessary. Then again, does not reduce damage taken to shields. And Barrier, then again, Barrier is just shields. So I suppose that doesn't help too much. So, yeah. Yeah, I may go Krogan Battlemaster here, I think, in that case. Let's do that. And then that has us all set there. So let's carry on here, and like I said, let's just take a look at our map. Because, oh, we're actually, at the moment, we're headed back the way we came from. We'd like to check out, well, these Rachni spawning pits. In theory, that is where we are trying to take care of business. I can see a little crate there. Not sure if it's one that we picked up yet. I think it is. Yeah, okay. That's good. Of course, anytime we walk next to one of these, we need to be careful. Make sure that it is one that we've already encountered, otherwise we're going to get some of these guys to pop up. And it was a lot of them. That was 3 that time, I believe. And this seems like one of those occasions. Overloading that could prove helpful. One down. Got stuff there. And you are dead, but there might still be one more here. There is. Let's incapacitate you with a lift, maybe. There we go. I believe that's the last of them now. So that was coming out of this area. Any other tunnels from which we're expecting additional Rachni to pop out? Not at the moment, I don't think, but then again, these are called the, what, spawning chambers or tunnels or... pits. So, you know, that probably means there's more Rachni in here. I would have to guess. So, let's brace ourselves for a potential swarm. There is an explosive container there. Don't think that's a coincidence. Let's, again, send a sacrificial lamb, that being Rex. So we can get people to spawn here. Got, looks to be 3 Rachni soldiers. So let's maybe stasis one of them. Liara, if you could pay attention, that would be lovely. And one stasis is down. I believe Rex may have accidentally destroyed the barrier, or the explosive container, but that's probably fine. There are perhaps still 2 remaining here. There are still 2 remaining, I think. Let's lift one of them. Oh, what? We just lifted the same one as they are. That's good. Rex just got hit twice by one of the Rachni. Oh, we've got... Okay, this is our first time encountering a Brood Warrior. Brood Warrior, not a soldier, not a worker. Brood Warrior, which is maybe a little bit hard to tell from this distance, but it is significantly bigger than the soldiers, and it is quite powerful. So, see if we can throw this. Honestly, I don't know if we can. Oh, we may be throwing it in place. We are. In fact, it may even have biotic abilities. There we go. Now we can at least temporarily incapacitate it by throwing it. But, just to show you how big this thing was. There it is. There are the soldiers. It's like at least twice, if not 3 times the size. In fact, there's a soldier right on top of it. So, yeah, it's a big deal. And you see, Rex fortunately was standing in front there, because he took a lot of damage, and he is our tankiest character. So, if that was anyone else, they would be in serious trouble. Let's see what else we can find here, though. This is kind of hard to break into, but... Ooh, just barely stuck in there. And we've got a not-so-great pistol, decent shotgun, and that's about it. Anything else in here? I think those are just our friends. So let's head back out. Rex is still regenerating life from that previous encounter. He is not fully restored his HP just yet. But given what we just saw there, I think perhaps we have a decent sense as to what we might run into in this tunnel as well. Perhaps more of the same. They didn't pop up until we sent someone in. And Rex, now that you are back at full HP, guess what, buddy? Care to do us the honors? Don't really want you to go that far into the group. They've already shown up. So remember, last time I think the way it worked was basically as soon as we took out the normal Arachnite soldier, that was when the Brood Warrior popped up. Here it is, I believe, or is, no, that just looks blue because we are through it. There it is, that's the big one. Brood Warrior is now up. So let us say stasis it. I'm hoping it worked. It did work. Records of the Arachnite War suggest Brood Warriors, the male, gendered Arachnite, only fight when a hive is severely pressed. It's safe to say you've eliminated the Arachnite on Nepos. Okay. So they are technically the male Arachnite. Of course, we've met Arachnite Queen, or fought Arachnite Queen, but that's probably for the best. So let's see, then we've got this locked crate. Waiting for this opening. And here, let's see. Sniper rifle's decent. Ooh. Omni tool. High level one. Although that may not be the best type. Let's check it out real quick here. This is the one we just got. It is, I mean, it's a better version of what we currently have equipped on Shepard, so I guess we'll take it. Give us a little bit of a better tech cooldown bonus. Not a huge upgrade, but an upgrade's an upgrade. Is that all? This area? I think that's just a light. And it's not loot. But I think we're good in there for now. There is a non-zero chance, however, that upon trying to leave this area, we might find some additional Arachnite trying to give us a little bit of a surprise treatment. So, I don't recall, there's a non-zero chance that may happen. So let's not let our guard down just yet, he says, as he's probably going to get cornered or surrounded and ambushed and what have you. Not gonna lie, Rex did just startle me considerably there. Thought for a second that he was going to be one of said surprise Arachnite. But as of right now, things looking fine. I know to like walk right on top of the explosive containers just in case. But it looks like we're good here. We were fairly thorough in our looting efforts. So I think we've gotten everything there. Let's head back, and I think we can now safely say that we have completed everything that there is to complete on Nepmos. Maybe there might have been one more Arachnite nest located somewhere on the planet, but in the random areas that are not technically marked. But I think we can say that that was good enough that even if there's one that we missed, we did all the necessary things to do. Technically, going through that infested mine shaft there wasn't even necessary, but we did it anyway. So let's head back. Okay, so then look at our journal. Let's just see what, if anything, it says about what we just did there. Listening Post Alpha. Listening Post Alpha in the Urbis system is reportedly being attacked by unidentified life forms and is requesting assistance. We, of course, know about that. But, well, to put it simply, it is now complete. It is now complete. However, let's see, do we see it here? We don't. But remember that the commanding officer that we saw on Nepmos, that planet that we were just on, made mention of another nearby area that was also suffering from some kind of troubles. So let's take a look here at our map. So we have done everything in this system here. That was Erebus. But I think it's time for us to at least take a look at the Archeron system. Okay, and let's just get a lay of the land here. First, we've Farthol. That's a mouthful. Farthorl is a modest terrestrial planet. Farthorl has a thin atmosphere composed of carbon dioxide and chlorine. The rest is mainly composed of sulfur with deposits of nickel. Terrain is extremely rough, a patchwork of craggy, overlapping craters dating back to the formation of the solar system. Farthol is tidally locked to the star Archeron. The dayside has never been fully mapped. So when it's tidally locked, that means that basically the side that is closest to the star is always facing the star, so it's scorching hot, and the side that is not facing the star is never facing the star, and therefore is extremely cold. So that 239 degrees Celsius does make you wonder, is that the really hot side? If so, then yeah, that's pretty hot, but it could be worse. Whereas if that's the far side that's not facing the star, then oh boy, just imagine how hot the other side is. Nothing we can scan here, though. Let's see what comes next here. We have Altahe, and we can land here. Altahe is an exceptional form of planet called a roach world. Put simply, it is one half of a pair of small and unusually dense terrestrial worlds, Altahe and Ontahe, that orbit each other so closely they effectively share a single atmosphere. Now that's very interesting. This does not mean that one could fly from one to the other, but both have identical atmospheres, and dust from one often can be found on the other. Both worlds share an atmosphere of nitrogen and ethane. The surface is warm and mainly composed of silica dust and dark basaltic rocks, with extensive deposits of heavy metals and radioactives. Tidal effects from Ontahe create constant heavy wind. And other than that, it's pretty reasonable. More or less one Earth atmosphere. Close to Earth-like temperatures, close to Earth-like gravity. But before we land there, let's just see what else we have going on in this area. Namely, for example, is there anything in this asteroid belt? It would appear as though the answer to that question is no. Then we have Rasalgin, an enigmatic rock and ice planet. Rasalgin has a thin atmosphere of carbon dioxide and ethane. The surface is composed of frozen water and chlorine. Okay, we can scan it. And we get a light metal. Scans from planet Rasalgin have revealed a large deposit of magnesium. Okay. And I'm actually curious. Now, we were reading previously about Altahe and Ontahe, how there were two planets that were theoretically so close to each other that they shared the same atmosphere. All we're seeing is Altahe, though. No sign of the other one, I don't think. Sometimes when you hear mention of those types of things, oftentimes it's the planet and then a moon to said planet, and you will actually see both of them show up separately. Not this time, though. And our last planet is out here, which is Imanea. Though exceptionally large for a terrestrial world, Imanea is composed of water ice, the core of various carbonaceous compounds. It has a density only half that of Earth, and an atmosphere of nitrogen and carbon monoxide. The surface is composed of surprisingly pure water ice, with high albedo. Alright, well, unfortunately we cannot scan it. There's nothing else for us to do there. That leaves us with just, what was it? Altahe. But before doing so, I just wanted to take a quick look at, it just seems like it's been such a long time since we looked at anything in our codex. Like, a really long time, so much so that I could not even tell you when the last time was. So let's take a quick look at some of our other things here. Like, I don't think we've read about Pharos.
Is a habitable world in the Attican Beta cluster.
Which is, of course, the next main quest that we're likely to do.
Covered with the ruins of a crumbling Prothean megatropolis. In the millennia since the Prothean extinction, the ruins have been repeatedly picked over by looters many times. Pharos was considered a poor prospect for colonization, as little open ground remains for agriculture. The only sizable freshwater sources are the poles, which are tapped by the decaying Prothean aqueduct systems. The dead cities, while in good condition considering their antiquity, are of uncertain stability. Ground level is congested by a dozen meters of fallen debris, and the air is fouled by dust. In 2178, the Human Exogeny Corporation announced its intention to place a permanent colony on Pharos to thoroughly explore the ruins. The pioneer settlement was placed on the upper levels of several intact skyscrapers, using the surviving Prothean aqueducts and rooftop hydroponic gardens to support the population.
Yeah, so like I said, that is likely to be the next main quest mission for us to do. That sounded vaguely familiar, though. I'm not sure if we did read that or not. I thought I saw a little glow there. Vermeer is the one that we learned about most recently. We probably are going to wait quite a bit before doing that one, but let's read about it a little bit more.
Vermeer is a lush world located on the frontier of the Attican Traverse. Its vast seas and orbital position on the inner life zone have created a wide equatorial band of humid, tropical terrain. Only the political instability of the region has impeded efforts at colonization. Many times the Citadel has opened negotiations to settle Vermeer with various criminal gangs and petty dictatorships in the nearby Terminus systems. All fell apart due to internal power shifts within the opposing parties. The Citadel has written off the colonization of Vermeer as impossible without significant political change. The Terminus powers themselves are unlikely to ever settle Vermeer. Most lack the resources to support settlement of a virgin world, finding it more expedient to steal from their neighbors than build for themselves.
And that's unfortunate if it is truthfully such a great place to potentially set up a colony. But such is the way of things, it would appear. Let's see, so that's everything on plants and locations. Let's maybe dive a little bit into ships and vehicles or weapons, armor, and equipment. What if we go... How about weapons, armor, and equipment here?
Combat.
Let's see, I think we've already read about this. Let's go mass accelerators.
A mass accelerator propels a solid metal slug using precisely controlled electromagnetic attraction and repulsion. The slug is designed to squash or shatter on impact, increasing the energy it transfers to the target. If this were not the case, it would simply punch a hole right through, doing minimal damage.
That's how fast these weapons are
design
firing.
was revolutionized by Element Zero. A slug lightened by a mass effect field can be accelerated to greater speeds, permitting projectile velocities that were previously unattainable. If accelerated to a high enough velocity, a simple paint chip can impact with the same destructive force as a nuclear weapon.
And that's crazy.
However, mass accelerators produce recoil equal to their impact energy. This is mitigated somewhat by the mass effect fields that rounds are suspended within. But weapon recoil is still the prime limiting factor on slug velocity.
And that's interesting, that the technology is there to make the weapons far more powerful, but it's the recoil of all things that is holding it back. Then Metagel, of course, we've used a lot of it, but how exactly does that work? Is it just some magical, mythical substance that, for whatever unknown reason, happens to allow us to heal? Or is there some more sciencey explanation to it?
Metagel is a common medicinal salve used by paramedics, EMTs, and military personnel. It combines several useful applications: a local anesthetic, disinfectant, and clotting agent all in one. Once applied, the gel is designed to grip tight to flesh until subjected to a frequency of ultrasound. It is sealable against liquids, most notably blood, as well as contaminants and gases. The gel is a genetically engineered bioplasm created by the CERTA Foundation, a medical technology megacorp based on Earth. Technically, Metagel violates Council laws against genetic engineering, but to date, it has proved far too useful to ban.
You know, sure, you're breaking several laws here, and, you know, we should be preventing you from ever making this stuff again, but then again, it's so useful that, we'll make an exception. Just this once. And every other time that you choose to manufacture this thing. Then small arms, is that a reference to just, like, our personal weapons that we carry on us?
All modern infantry weapons, from pistols to assault rifles, use micro-scaled mass accelerator technology.
Okay, we were just learning about that.
Projectiles consist of tiny metal slugs suspended within a mass-reducing field, accelerated by magnetic force to speeds that inflict kinetic damage. The ammo magazine is a simple block of metal. The gun's internal computer calculates the mass needed to reach the target based on distance, gravity, and atmospheric pressure, then shears off an appropriate-sized slug from the block. A single block can supply thousands of rounds, making ammo a non-issue during any engagement.
Interesting.
Top-line weapons also feature smart targeting that allows them to correct for weather and environment. Firing on a target in a howling gale feels the same as it does on a calm day at the practice range. Smart targeting does not mean a bullet will automatically find the mark every time the trigger is pulled. It only makes it easier for the marksman to aim.
Right, so there's still certainly some skill involved. And this is the answer, in case you were wondering, why there's no ammo in Mass Effect, and instead there's just that bar for us filling up or heating up our weapons, and if we do fill it, then it completely overheats, and that's what holds us back from just non-stop firing our weapon, in addition to usually the reticle, basically how precisely we can aim. It gets much bigger the longer we've been firing our weapon for, so that also can more indirectly prevent you from firing non-stop, although certainly as you start to get further along in the game, you get higher accuracy weapons, get upgrades that give you additional weapon stability, and improve your accuracy on your characters. That factor tends to be much more minor, and can actually become almost completely insignificant. But that's everything on weapons, armor, and equipment, it looks like. So why don't we leave it at that for now? We have a little bit more on ships and vehicles, but we can catch up on that later. And I'm pretty sure we have a bazillion things on the secondary side. Yeah, we do. Like I said, it's been quite some time since we last paid much of any attention to our codex here. So we'll get back into the swing of things a little bit, but we'll mix it in here and there. We don't need to do it all right now.